Hi, I'm Matt Barry from ESPN. You're getting ready to watch one of the best college football podcasts ever. It's the Harris Highlight Show.
Na 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 na.
To you live from the Bill Austin Radio Studio at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism in beautiful downtown Phoenix. This is episode 11 of season 4 of the Harris Highlight Show. Joining me this week in studio is our special guest, head coach Lane Kiffin.
Run it on 3rd and 19, baby.
Manti Te'o's girlfriend, whose name I cannot pronounce, but you know what? We're going to try to do it right now. So, Lene Kakua, ladies and gentlemen. Lene Kakua.
Aloha.
And joining us in the other studio is our executive producer for the night, Coach Ed Orgeron.
Hey, thank you, man. Love you, man. Go Tigers.
And I'm your host for the evening, starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Gardner Minshew.
You sounded like the guy from the Jaguar commercial.
Yes, Jaguar
The
HD.
Jaguars.
Now, you know, our normal guys, Blake, Lyle, Josh, and Brady, they got the week off, so the four of us are going to be hosting this week's show. So, Coach Kiffin, I see you got your SC gear on tonight, so I'm not going to ask how your Owls are doing, but I guess how are your, 2013, 2014 Trojans doing?
They're not doing well. It's okay. We'll figure something out. And at the end of the day, I just don't want to get fired on the tarmac at LAX tonight.
Yeah, excited for a good show tonight. I know my Boo's Notre Dame Fighting Irish just came off a terrible loss this past week. They really could have used them out there, but hey, we'll talk about that later.
You know, man, the number one team in the country right now, so we got go good, real good.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see how we do the show having a non-existent person in studio with us. We're going to have to wait and see how that goes. But yeah, we got the show notes right here from the guys, and we're going to see how this works, how we can do. So without further ado, let's get into the fantasy news right here. Now, looking at this, it looks like Blake picked up the victory over Team Big L's last week. Unfortunately, well, that's to no surprise, Coach Kiffin. What do you have to say about that?
You know, Gardner, I just couldn't help but notice that you had renamed Lyle's team Big L's rather than No Big L's. Yeah, I mean, it's just not a good look for Lyle's squad this past week. I think they ran the ball on 3rd and long too many times. But hey, if I know anything about college football, is that they're probably going to bounce back next week, and Lyle's probably going to say something that's borderline funny on Twitter.
Well, hopefully. I mean, I could really use a bounce back win, but yeah, last week was another tough one. I got the win a couple weeks ago, and you know what? I'm still banking on that back-to-back wins come playoff time. So let's just focus on that.
You know, Brady's team played bringing the hurts, and they really brought the hurts, and it's a lot. It hurts a lot.
Yeah, Coach O. You know, it's what about your guys? I mean, your guys They had a pretty good week, I must say. Mm-hmm. They had a pretty good week. So, what'd you see from your guys this past week?
My guys real good. Got new recruit coming in. Great name, great guys. Except my guys lost in fantasy. Brady guys lost in fantasy. My guys, real good guys. The coldest to ever do it. Crawford. God, man, what a name. Love him.
They're picking up a guy whose name is DeColdest Crawford. DeColdest to ever do it Crawford.
That's right. Yep.
Was he 13? Because I offer 13-year-olds. That's my thing.
You offered him 5 years ago.
Yes,
yeah,
I did. We didn't get him.
No, you didn't.
We didn't get him. But
he's the coldest, and he's going to be the best.
Josh's team did get a huge win this past week over whatever Brady's team's name is, TaylorMade.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, TaylorMade lost by like 100 points. Mike Pittman, USC. I might have recruited him. I don't know.
Good talk.
Well, it was a great week.
Josh
great
Dean
week
got
for
my quarterback,
fantasy.
though, Joe Burrow.
Great week for fantasy. Toss me that pigskin there, Kiffin. Great week for fantasy as the mic gets it. So it's going to be a great season moving forward. We'll have to see what happens in the coming weeks. But yeah, great teamwork all around. But it's time now to talk about some college football, some things that happened in college football this past week, and arguably the best week of college football so far this season. Lots of things to talk about, a lot of games to talk about. And the first game we are going to get over is the Tigers versus the Tigers. Now, Coach O, I'm going to throw this to you right now. Your LSU Tigers got the victory over the Auburn Tigers. A close one, 23-20. You guys are now the new number one team in the nation as you head into, I believe, a bye this upcoming week. So, against those Auburn Tigers, what were you seeing from the players out there, especially from your quarterback and now Heisman favorite, Joe Burrow?
321 passing yards in the air. I mean, can't get much better than that. He did have one interception, so it's okay. It's okay. Only one touchdown pass. That's fine. Learn from it. Move on. But hey, we got a good team coming over next week in BYE. Not BYU, BYE. We're not playing nobody next week, so we got to get recovered. Got some gumbo, some crawdads, some crawfish. You know, love them, man. Love my guys, love their guys, man. Go Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, for LSU, again, this is just a team that continues to prove how good they are. Against a top 10 team in Auburn, they show that they're the superior team. They weren't looking past the Tigers in favor of this Bama game. And Joe Burrow, again, he continues to prove why he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football.
No,
Yet,
the best. He's the best quarterback in college
you
football.
say?
Yeah, the
Okay,
best. He's
well,
the best.
I mean, again, this is just a team that continues to every week show why they're a force to be reckoned with, and they continue to hype up this Alabama matchup 2 weeks down the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think Auburn may, in fact, be a top 10 team in college football. I just think that LSU proved that they're the number one team in the country. And I know we're going to talk Alabama a little bit. I know we're going to talk Ohio State. And right now, there is nothing that LSU has done that should say anything other than number one team in college football.
I agree. I mean, all season, they've been playing fantastic football. Earlier on, they had one of the better offenses in the entire country. Their defense has been showing out as of late, but Joe Burrow leading the helm, like I said, the new number one favorite in regards to the Heisman. And week after week, they just get win after win against these solid opponents, and they've done nothing to prove why they shouldn't be the number one ranked team. I don't know how you could take a team like maybe Alabama, maybe make a case for Ohio State, but I don't know how if you have a vote, you can't vote for LSU because they've been the most oppressive team. Not only do they show it on the field, I mean, they have the wins to back it up. I mean, how many 10 wins do they have when they played Texas? They were in the top 10, I believe. Auburn's another top 10 victory. I feel like I missed one because they've had so many great wins this season, but LSU, they get the job done. Another fantastic game. Now, Bo Nix, he almost got him, Coach O. He almost came back and got him. Like I said, only lost by 3 points, but not another good stat line. But it's kind of a drag for this Auburn team because obviously this is a very good Auburn team, but they just had some close calls this season. Obviously now their national title hopes are done. Their hopes are probably representing themselves in the SEC title game are done. And, it's what you hate to see because you could still make the case that they're easily a top 10 team after this game. They almost beat LSU, and if they would have gotten a few things done, a few things hadn't gone their way, they could have picked up the victory. But another great game. But, yeah, again, if you're voting, I don't know how you can vote for anyone other than LSU at this point.
Those three teams you talking about? Texas, Florida, Auburn. 3 top 10s. 3 wins right there. Those are my team. Go Tigers.
Coach O, man, you might have to take a break soon.
No, man, no breaks.
Your voice is it's getting a little raspy. So LSU, which is going to be fantastic moving forward because now we're going to have a 1 versus 2 match in 2 weeks when LSU goes against Alabama. That's going to be a very, very good game. Now I'm going to pose a quick question to you guys right now. Has LSU proved enough where let's say they lose to Bama and then maybe they drop another game? Because I think if they lose to Bama, they probably won't be able to make it to the SEC title game, depending on how things happen. If LSU is to drop 2 close games, do you think they still have a chance in making the college football playoff?
Not if they drop 2.
Yeah, if it's 2, then no.
They drop 1 to Bama. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they wouldn't play in the SEC title game. I don't think that matters. You've got 3 ranked wins already. You lose a close one to Alabama. If you win out, aside from that, you're in.
I think it's tough to put in a 2-win team at this, or a 2-loss team at this point. It's probably really tough to put in a 2-win team. It's just, I think that they have proven themselves, but if they drop 2 games, all of their credibility is now out the window, assuming that they lose to somebody else who's not Alabama. And for me, that it would be tough to put in a 2-win team, but it also depends on what everybody else is doing. Let's say that Ohio State loses a game, and I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I don't know, let's say Oklahoma loses another game, there would need to be a lot of chaos if a 2-win team, or a 2-loss team, good Lord, a 2-loss team is going to make it at this point.
2 wins, 2 losses, don't matter. Go Tigers.
I agree. So a lot of chaos still has to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. But as of now, we get to enjoy a new. I mean, it seems like for years it's been Alabama's number one the entire season, and then I know Clemson, they were at number one for a bit, but now we've had so many changes at the top. We've had Clemson be number one, we've had Bama be number one, LSU's now number one. Maybe after this week there will be a new number one. We'll have to wait and see. Another close. Well, I was gonna say another close game. This game was anything but close, as I think we all predicted in last week's show, and that's that Ohio State put a nice little beat down against Wisconsin. Now, for the first half, this game was fairly close, and I believe it was Josh last week said that this was going to be a close game for most of the first half until someone finally pulls away. It was 3-0 for most of the first half. Then Ohio State gets a last-second touchdown to make it 10-0 going into half. And then Ohio State, they just took over. Justin Fields did Justin Fields things. Chase Young did Chase Young things. And Ohio State, they beat Wisconsin. Ohio State looks like they can make the case for potentially the best team in the country, if not the number 2 team in the country as well. So we talked about this every week, whereas Ohio State impressed you enough. What have you liked from them? But I mean, a game like this, because we were all high in Wisconsin 2 weeks ago, I said Wisconsin's going to go undefeated and be in the playoff. Lyle last week said that Wisconsin might have a little hangover. They might not show up that much. But after this game, I mean, Wisconsin's easily the best team that Ohio State's gone up against, and they dominated them. Absolutely dominated them. So, I put here in the notes, can Ohio State make a case for the best team in the country? Which you can say it, they can as well. But the rest of the season, after what we've seen, is there any chance Ohio State loses a game?
I don't think so. And what I said last week was that what I said last week was I think that Michigan is going to continue being a competitive football team, and we're gonna get there. But I've said that they're going to continue being a competitive football team, and maybe they're not going to beat everybody else on their schedule that they should probably lose to, but I think they're going to compete. So I think that they will compete with Michigan, at least for a majority of the game, at least for the first half like Wisconsin did. But at this point, I don't see Ohio State losing another game this year, and they are 100% worthy of being considered the number 1 team in college football. The only reason that right now I don't think they are is because kind of the same mentality I have when I'm looking at the top teams in the country. There's no reason to move LSU out of the top spot right now. And they were the new number 1. I think LSU's deserving of being number 1, but I also think Ohio State's right there too.
Look, LSU deserves to be number 1. There's no question about it. The ranked wins, they're dominating wins. It's LSU. But who has the most talented team? Or in other words, if Ohio State played LSU this upcoming weekend, who would I pick? I'm taking the Buckeyes. And Chase Young is a huge reason for it. You talk about it with LSU, and look, they have a dominating playmaker on offense with Joe Burrow, along with all those receivers. You have a dominating playmaker on defense like Grant Delpit. For Ohio State, yeah, you have Justin Fields, and him and Burrow are probably pretty close, but that X factor is Chase Young. I mean, this guy had 4 sacks this past weekend against the Wisconsin O-line that is always supposed to be one of the best, if not the best line in the entire country. I mean, people put double teams on this guy, and they still can't stop him. This is a guy who is just absolutely dominating. I know he's not going to win the Heisman. I thoroughly believe he is the best player in college football, and because of it, he's anchored an Ohio State defense that, yeah, last year and other years it's had its struggles. They are locked down this year. Their offense is as good as ever, and their defense is playing really, really strong. And against the Wisconsin team that, like Blake said, is probably the best challenge they've had so far this year, they rose above it and then some.
In the NFL right now, my voice is gone. That's weird. It's almost like I couldn't do that for an hour and a half. So in the NFL right now, it's all about tank for Tua. In fact, it should be chase for Chase. The chase for Chase. Chase Young is the best player in college football right now. No question about it. He should be going number 1 overall. Once again, no question about it. He is a game-changing defensive player and can prove that he will work at the next level. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, it seemed like he was everywhere he needed to be at essentially every moment. I'm trying to get up what his official stats were for the game. Manti Te'o's girlfriend brought it up that he had 4 sacks.
Lyle just dropped the state. Or Lilani dropped the stats.
Lilani dropped
4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss.
Lene.
Yeah, 4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss on the season, 15.5 tackles for loss, 13.5 sacks. He also had 2 forced fumbles in this game as well, so he was completely dominant. He could be the X factor, should Ohio State and LSU battle it out for the national championship. We'll have to wait and see, but a completely just dominant game all the way around from Ohio State. Wisconsin, This is becoming a trend with some of Blake's takes where he says something and it just, it goes bad very quickly. So 2 weeks ago, he came out and he said that Wisconsin, well, this was a hot take. He wasn't, going on record saying this is what he firmly believes. It was just a hot take. But he said that Wisconsin was going to go undefeated and represent in the college football playoff. They've now lost 2 in a row, and their season is officially over. But that's okay. Speaking about another team whose season potentially could be over, that is until Coach O says one final thing.
No, I was just looking at a stat comparison between Nick Bosa and Chase Young. And you look at Chase Young's stats so far this year, he has 22 solo tackles. Nick Bosa's best season at Ohio State had 19 solo tackles, and he still has a third of the season left, Chase Young does. So there's no question about it.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's
pretty good. What's up with these Ohio State guys, man? What are they feeding him?
Not gumbo.
Oh, boy. Now, this is arguably the most shocking game of the weekend, maybe one of the most shocking games of the season, and that's the fact that Kansas State, not led by Bill Snyder anymore, beat Oklahoma. And I don't know where to even start with this game, guys. The fact that Oklahoma had a pretty big lead to start the game, I believe they were up like 17-3, maybe 17-7. Then all of a sudden they fall behind like 45 to like 17, 45 to 20, and they're down by 3 scores. And we're thinking, is Kansas State going to blow them out of the water? Now, Oklahoma, they did come back. They did have a chance. They had onside kick. I don't know if you guys saw how that onside kick went. They essentially got the onside kick, but there was a penalty on them. They lose the game. Now, I want to go around the room and just talk about Oklahoma, what this means for their season, what this means for Jalen Hurts. But just, Oklahoma, they were, I think, it was like a 22, 23-point favorite against Kansas State. So this was a very shocking loss. So, Coach Kiffin, how did this happen to the Sooners, who we thought were indestructible? I thought they were going to win out the rest of the way and go undefeated. And 2, what does this mean going forward? Do they still have a chance in making the playoff?
I think they do, and I think they need to win the rest of their games convincingly. They still have a few pretty decent games on their schedule upcoming, but bottom line, Kansas State is a team that you need to beat. I'm not saying they're a slouch, but for a team like Oklahoma, they need to win, and they need to win convincingly, and they didn't do that at all. For Oklahoma moving forward, like I said, I think they need to win convincingly, but for Jalen Hurts, 19 of 26, nearly 400 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. He wasn't explosive other than the fact that he ran for 3 touchdowns and basically 100 yards. He ran for 96. This was still essentially the Jalen Hurts I was expecting to see. It's just that finally we saw Oklahoma's defense crack. And I think the main reason why was because Kansas State came out with a balanced running game. 13 carries, at least 12 carries for 3 different running backs, 6 rushing touchdowns. Every single offensive touchdown was on the ground for K-State. And I think that that's something that maybe Oklahoma wasn't prepared for. One running back rushed for 105 yards, another rushed for 63, another rushed for 39, but also 4 touchdowns. And I don't think that that was something Oklahoma was expecting to see. And I was certainly not expecting to see Oklahoma's defense kind of fall apart a little bit, especially in the third quarter of this game when they were outscored 17-0. Through a two-quarter stretch in the second quarter and the third quarter, they were outscored 34-6 before mounting that late comeback. That's crazy.
Was this an Oklahoma wasn't prepared for it, or was this wow, we figured out the formula to beat Oklahoma?
I don't know. I don't think many other teams are going to come out and then have a balanced running game with 3 different people rushing at least 13 times. Of course, the 4 rushing touchdowns were the quarterback. 4 of the 6 rushing touchdowns came from the quarterback. I don't know if that's the game plan. I think that maybe teams looking ahead are going to try to run the ball. I don't know if they're going to have that much success. I think it was more Oklahoma just being caught off guard because I don't think this is the actual formula moving forward for some of OU's future opponents. Because a team like Texas could have been able to do this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and now they're going to need some really, really convincing wins from here on out. Specifically, they're going to need a convincing win over Baylor a couple weeks down the road. If they want to stay in this thing for the college football playoff hunt, they're going to need some help along the way, and they're going to need some teams ahead of them to lose. But they're not totally out of the picture. I'm with Josh. I mean, Jalen Hurts did everything he could have done in this game. He went for almost 500 total yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Just when your defense gives up 48 points, there's only so much you can do. I know Oklahoma can score at will, but the defense has got to do a little bit better than that against the Kansas State team that you guys are right, they should have handled. And when you give up 200 yards of rushing on the ground, it's going to be tough to stop that. So for Oklahoma, no, their season's not over, but this is certainly a very, very sizable step back.
Yeah, I mean, as I take my shades off, it was getting a little dark in here, so I wanted to be able to see. At least
The
my,
sun went down.
My computer screen. So I lead my team, through the trenches. I can only do so much to protect my eyes.
There's only so much Minshew mania
That was so
can be
poetic.
brought
Can I
out.
have the football? I want to hold it.
Ball, please.
Yeah, go long.
Can I have it over here?
What a throw! Still got it.
Just make a little editing cut, Blake. Chuck the football toward the window, and then you just have Brady catch it in here.
Do some editing magic. But no, I mean, overall, this was a very shocking game. I mean, no one was expecting Kansas State to put up 48, especially against an Oklahoma defense that's been so surprisingly good this year. I learned the hard way this week as I had them in my fantasy lineup, and I got -3 from them. But, I mean, yeah, it's tough to win a lot of games when you put up 48. If you would have said coming into the game, the Sooners offense would score 41 points, I think all of us would have said,
Haha, you're wrong.
thanks, Coach. A lot of us would have said that Oklahoma's going to win the game, no problem. But, I mean, again, Skylar Thompson, I mean, this is a guy, he went completely bonkers in this game.
Bonkers?
He went bonkers.
Bonkers. With an O. Bonkers is like when you hide under the table.
Sorry, that's my Gardner Minshew accent right there. But he had a very good game. But it was that third quarter that was really the difference maker when Kansas State outscored them 17-0. Things didn't really go well though. Now, I'm going to save the Jalen Hurts talk until we get to our Heisman talks right there later in the show, so I don't give any spoilers as to where. Maybe it's going to be a Kyler Murray from last year where they lose a game and he falls out of my top 5. We'll have to wait and see. But I think Oklahoma, I think they're fine the rest of the way. Now, they do control their own fate. I do think they're going to have to win out. They might have to have a few things go their way because looking at the rest of their schedule, I mean, that is going to be a good game against Baylor in a few weeks on the road to Baylor, who's currently ranked number 12. But the rest, they don't have any games that's really going to set them apart from other teams. And they're likely maybe going to play... Actually, at this point, it looks like they're probably going to be playing Baylor in the Big 12 conference title game because Baylor's, undefeated in conference play. Texas has 2 losses. Iowa State has 2 losses. Kansas State, they have 2 losses. TCU has 2 losses. So assuming Baylor can, keep it together, Texas doesn't lose the game, it's going to be Oklahoma and Baylor in that title game, which was, I think, a few weeks ago we talked about, is it guaranteed going to be Oklahoma, Texas, in which we all said it is. So interesting to see there. But Oklahoma, I think you guys still have a chance, but you're going to have a few things go your way. Now, we're going to head over to Manti Te'o's girlfriend right now, who was familiar with the Notre Dame football team. I don't know if she's as familiar as she once was, but Michigan lit up the Fighting Irish in this game. I don't know what exactly happened. If only Blake was here to talk about this Michigan victory. He did pick Michigan to beat Notre Dame. He was the only one that did it last week. He's been high on Michigan. They finally get that win that they've been so desperately coveting all season. They move up now to, I believe, 14 in the rankings. So we're going to throw it over to Manti Te'o's girlfriend and ask, what happened in this game? Did Michigan, are they just this good and they're finally getting things together? Or was this just an off night? I guess you can say a non-existent performance from Notre Dame.
Let's pump the brakes there real quick, because if I recall right, that guy Blake, the host of the show last week, said, I think Notre Dame's winning this game, but I'm obligated to pick Michigan.
He did say that.
He might have.
He also might edit this part of the show out.
Well, if he does, that's a real shame.
He's been known to do that before.
Only when there are certain words or things said that cannot be said on air.
Or people.
That has never happened.
Or people.
That is true.
But, yeah, I mean, about this game, look, when you lose this badly, 45-14, I think that just shows you did not come ready to play. I know there was other factors with this game, with heavy rain and a loud Ann Arbor crowd at the Big House. Regardless, 45-14 against 2 ranked teams inside the top 20, that is just so lopsided, and that just shows that, Michigan was the superior team, and they came ready to play. Look, here's the thing, to first touch on Michigan. I mean, Shea Patterson, it's not like he was lighting it up. I mean, he only threw the ball 12 times because they had to establish the run, but that Michigan run game was so good, over 300 yards rushing. They pounded it down Notre Dame's throat all night with a defense that's usually so stout. They can't often make they weren't making tackles. They were just missing tackles left and right. But here's where I'm gonna turn things, and it seems like every time Notre Dame loses, I'm gonna talk about Ian Book, and I'm gonna do it again here because he went 8 for 25 in this game, and he was missing wide open receivers left and right. I get it. Like, it was raining. It was a tough place to play, tough conditions, but he did not play well in the slightest. And at this point, I feel like this has to get to the point where they now need to consider a quarterback change, because here's the thing. Like I said, he wins you the games you're supposed to win. Ian Book does not lose games that, at home. I mean, usually at home are the ones that he's expected to take home. But every single time he goes up against a superior team, this happens. I mean, it happened in the playoff against Clemson. It happened in a short stint 2 years ago at Miami. Some extent it happened against Georgia this year, and now it happened again against the really good Michigan team. So, I mean, Brian Kelly already came out this week and said he's going to be starting against Virginia Tech, but this is a big full picture thing, I think, because, look, do you want a quarterback that's going to win you 9 to 10 games, which is what I thought Notre Dame would be this year, about a 9 to 10 win team, or do you want to try to find somebody that can rise you above that? Because I think Ian Book has a real flat ceiling, and I think that kind of doesn't include playing these superior teams, because, again, now there's enough evidence and kind of facts to show that every time this happens, he kind of just falls flat.
All right, so I'm going to propose a question to you, Manti Te'o's girlfriend. If you were making the calls, would you make a quarterback change?
At least for 1 week to see what you've got, yeah, because they have this kid, Phil Jurkovec, who is a really, really high prospect coming out of high school. He's only played in garbage minutes, and I know he had one fumble this past weekend, but yeah, I would. I mean, I would at least see what you've got with him, because here's a guy that, again, he's big, he's 6'5", he's got a big arm, he can run, and, he's untapped potential. So at least see what you've got with him first. I mean, again, you've had enough on Book now to say, I think it's time to at least look other places. Against Miami 2 years ago, he was 3 for 6 with the 1 interception. Again, he put 3 points up on Clemson. He couldn't get the job done against Georgia, and he puts up 14 points on a Michigan team, 7 of them being in garbage time. So at this point, yeah, I would make a change. See what Jurkovec can do, and then make a decision after this week.
So what you're saying is it's the end of the chapter of this book?
If it were me, possibly, yes. You got to at least look around and see what you've got at this point, because this happens every week.
This is how he got the job in the first place, though, is that you guys kind of figured that it was time to get rid of it was Wimbush, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that Wimbush is the quarterback, and you think, all right, well, he's not delivering in the games that he's supposed to be. Or he wins the games he's supposed to win, but he can't beat any tough teams. So they went to Ian Book, and Ian Book was really good, and now we're back at square one.
Right.
So why not stick with Book, considering for the most part Notre Dame's winning games under Ian Book, and rather than just go to some guy who does not really have any experience up to this point?
Okay, but the only thing I'm trying to counter here is your goal to win 9-10 games? Because if it is, that's fine. 10-win seasons are not bad. Or are you trying to win the national championship? Because, again, like I've kind of expressed my opinion about with Jake Fromm, it's even more so to that with Ian Book, because he clearly does not have the talent to this point to win a national championship. I mean, I get Clemson was really good last year, but you complete 50% of your passes for 160 yards and an interception. I mean, that's not going to cut it. You go 8 for 25 against the Michigan team, that's not going to cut it. So it's just about what are you going for? If you're going for 10 wins, then keep them. But if you want to try to find somebody that can rise, elevate and rise above it, the challenge, then I think you got to kind of look around the sidelines a little bit. And Jurkovec is a guy who has a chance to be really good at some point. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but at the same, and I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No,
right
I
now.
know.
But at the same time, why would you keep, you can say, like, yeah, okay, so he's just not getting the job done week after week. It's kind of the same thing, and he's going to beat the teams he's supposed to beat, but that level of play is not going to beat the teams that, are kind of a stretch, like Michigan's a ranked team. You're going on the road to the big house, and if his play is still not going to get you there, maybe you're not going to get the win. But couldn't you say the same thing about, all right, well, we've got this quarterback. He's okay, but he's not going to do anything for us, so let's replace him with somebody else. Oh, he's playing really well. Okay, now he's not getting us the wins that we want to get, so let's just replace him with somebody else again. If it's not working out, why would you continue to go back and do the same thing every few years?
Well, it's just about till you can find your guy, I think. Because, again, Book's a guy that can win you 9 to 10 games, but I think being the Notre Dame football program, they're not settling for that. I don't know if Jurkovec's the guy. I'm not sitting here telling you Jurkovec's going to win these guys a national championship.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that you might want to, at least for 1 week or even a half, just see what he's got. And if he's not cutting it, say he plays the first half against Virginia Tech, he's not cutting it, you go back to Ian Book.
And maybe he could be their Keaton Slovis.
Maybe he could be Keaton Slovis, but Keaton Slovis
Or
was
Keaton.
also...
Keaton.
They're two different names.
You could have used him, Kiffin.
Yeah, I mean, I could have. Cody Kessler was pretty good, though. He's all right.
Better than John David Booty.
Yeah, well, Kiffin's quarterbacks were Matt Barkley and Cody Kessler. So.
Oh, that's right. So he did have some decent ones.
Is that in Kiffin's coffin corner?
Kiffin's Crimson Corner.
Crimson
with
corner.
a C.
With a C. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Right.
It's funny. From this angle, it looks like I'm a lefty. But
That's so cool.
I'm not. All right, moving on now. Guys, I think we can officially say Texas is not back. They are no longer back. Unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. They do lose to TCU. Now, Texas, yeah. Guys start off with such promise, and then this kind of happens. So, yeah, Texas, they drop another one. Looks like they won't be playing in the Big 12 title game unless a few other teams lose a few games and they can win out. But that definitely can happen. But Texas, guys, what is it going to take for them to officially be back? It seems like they've been back and we've fallen for it. But then they do something just to trick us, to get us, to make us believe they're back. So why is it that this year they haven't been able to get over them? Now, they did have that tough loss against LSU, which LSU, I mean, is the best team in the country. But a game like this, TCU is still a very good team in the conference, but this is a game that Texas should have won. I think we all can agree as to that. So why is it that Texas is still struggling like this?
There were a lot of upsets this week, and we didn't have a great pick'ems week, but that's okay.
We'll get to that when we go over the pick'ems later in this
Didn't
week's
we all
show.
go and collect it? Never mind.
We'll get to that later in the show.
Yeah, I couldn't tell who was wearing more orange, Texas or TCU, but I don't look. Texas. I've been saying this for the 4 years we've been doing this show. I'm not sold on Texas. I have not been in our 4 seasons doing this. I disagree with Sam Ehlinger quite a bit. They're just not a complete team, and they are exploitable. They have weaknesses that are exploitable, and this year I don't even necessarily want to pinpoint certain things. I just don't think they're that great of a team. They're good enough to compete in the Big 12. I don't think the Big 12 is a super elite conference this year. They've got a lot of pretty solid teams. I don't know what to think of Baylor at this point either, but bottom line, I'm just not really... I have not been thoroughly impressed with Texas, and they fell all the way out of the rankings this week too.
Yeah, I mean, for Texas, look, this is a team that, came into the season with some high expectations. They played LSU close. But aside from that, yeah, they do have some flaws in this team, and they are not quote-unquote back like Sam Ehlinger would say. One, they need a defense. I mean, look, they're letting up 31 points a game, and it's only that low because they played Louisiana Tech and Rice, who they both held to 2 touchdowns or less. And aside from that, they could probably use a little bit more of a rushing attack on offense too, because Ingram hasn't been super consistent on the ground. You need a balanced offense, obviously, to hang in the Big 12. And look, usually Sam Ehlinger is their consistent. I know he had a tough game this weekend. Usually he's going to get the job done and light it up in the box score, but they need a little bit more of a balanced offense in the run game, and they just need more consistency out of that defense because you can't give up 31 points a game on average.
No, you can't. Yeah, I mean, Ehlinger didn't have himself a really good game. I mean, 22 of 48, 2 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions. Now, yeah, if you take out the game against Louisiana Tech and the game against Rice out of the equation, I mean, Texas is like a 500 team. I mean, they're a 500 team if you don't want to include that LSU game. I mean, in conference, what are they? 1-2. They're 3-2 in conference. Now, again, LSU. You can give them a pass there. Oklahoma, they played Oklahoma tough. They played them close. You can kind of give them a pass there. But at this point, again, TCU is a good team, but this is a game you got to win if you're them. Now, if I would have told you guys that after 8 weeks or 9 weeks, whatever, of the college football season, that one of these quarterbacks would be leading his team to an undefeated record, he'd have 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 7 picks, compared to someone else that has 2,400 yards with 23 touchdowns and 7 picks. And I would have said that man that's leading his team to an undefeated season
Shane Buechele,
is Shane Buechele. Will he crack our Heisman list? Will he crack my top 5? We'll have to see in about 10 or 15 minutes if he does.
Well, he
Blake,
played
you
this
mentioned him last year as an accident.
He might be in my top 10, I'll tell you that much, boys.
Josh, the
My
words are
top
coming out of
10.
my mouth. I said he played this last week, so we might have a chance this time.
Man.
That's fair.
Quarterbacks knows a good quarterback when he sees it. And Gardner Minshew, he sees some good quarterbacks out there. And Shane Buechele, he might be at the top of his list.
Oh
so
my
uncoordinated
goodness.
with that football.
Well, I mean, it's a tough angle here because, I'm not trying to
Tough
hit the
angle
mic.
for what?
Throw a football a quarter
You
mile.
look more like Uncle Rico.
Quarter mile over those mountains.
No, he looks good. Put the glasses back on.
Coach would have put me in.
I put you in my team.
Would have been
Yes.
Would have been
Better than
state
Joe Burrow.
champions.
Yes.
Would have been
Better than Joe Burrow.
state champions.
Better
But
than
moving
Joe
on
Burrow.
now to a few other games before we're all done, and that is the fact that the Minnesota Gophers are still undefeated and arguably probably at this point the second best team in the Big Ten. Man, if Lyle was Manti Te'o's girlfriend, if Lyle was here, what do you think he would say about that?
He would say second best team in the Big Ten? Question mark.
Penn
Hoosiers.
State exists.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. Well, I meant-
Michigan exists. The team that you're so high on
Hoosiers.
exists.
Sorry, I was just thinking how they're pretty much a lock at this point to make the Big Ten title game, so I was thinking second best team. Sorry, I forgot about Penn State. Sorry.
Okay,
But hey, how
but
can you
you- but
tell
you're
me that
saying they're better
Minnesota's
than
not better
Michigan?
than Penn State right now?
Are you saying they're better
can't.
than Michigan? Is that what
What's
you're
that?
saying? Are you saying they're better than Michigan?
Who?
Minnesota.
I just sneezed
Well.
like 6 times.
Their record says they are,
Well, you got me there.
but they're not.
Yeah. They keep winning games. I'll
Hey,
give
go
them
on,
that.
Coach O.
I got the ball. I got a ball. 5-ball chase ball. Go defense. Go Tigers. This hurts so much.
I bet. Continue, Manti Te'o's
No, I
girlfriend.
mean they just keep finding a way to win games. I mean credit to them. If they find a way to run the table, I mean, yeah, people are going to have to give them some respect. It's just a question of how's the committee going to kind of look at these guys when the rankings start to come out because, again, the 7-point win week 1 and all these close games that they've had throughout a lot of the season. Yes, they're beating teams more handily now, but we're just going to have to see how they do over this final stretch of the season because, yeah, they have a couple cup games coming up with Penn State, with Iowa, with Wisconsin. So if they find a way to beat these teams, then, yeah, all of a sudden they're going to garner some real respect. But until then, I think there's just a big question mark above them.
I like it. I like how they're writing this out. They got some fantastic uniforms, though. Every week they're
do.
bringing some sort of fire out there.
Dude,
So
the ones this past week, those helmets were so clean.
they were like the ASU Oregon ones from
so cool.
ASU's were better.
But
3 years ago.
They were the gray uniforms this past week too, didn't they?
They did.
Oh man.
So
love
yeah,
it.
this so they do have a bye this upcoming week, and then they're going to play at home against Penn State on November 9th. So that's going to be a great game. It's going to be interesting to see though where the committee puts them because, as Lyle mentioned, they had some games at the beginning of the year: 7-point victory over South Dakota State, a 2 overtime victory against Fresno State, a 3-point victory over Georgia Southern, 7-point victory over Purdue, who's looking like one of the worst teams out there now, especially in the Big Ten. So they've had some close calls. The last few weeks, they've really found the offense, and their defense has been clicking on all cylinders. So they've been really good as of late. But Minnesota, we'll have to wait and see. I talked about them a few moments ago, but SMU is still undefeated, guys. They are just riding out this incredible season. Can they go perfect? We'll have to wait and see. But are you guys convinced yet that they're the best non-Power 5 school? Because we talked about it a few weeks ago. We said Boise State. I think we all agreed Boise State was the best. Have they convinced you that they're the best Group of 5 team?
SMU?
Yes.
I still like Boise State up to this point, and I think that's I know that we always talk about, oh well, if these Group of 5 teams are given the opportunity in a bowl game to face off with a Power 5 team, maybe they can get the win. That's great. I don't disagree. I would love to see a Boise State SMU game right now.
Yes.
I think that would be awesome. I think they're both stacked. I think they're both really good. Boise has that one hiccup to BYU, and I still think that BYU is kind of a strange football team too. They have a couple of really good wins right now too. So right now, for the time being, I'm going to say SMU is probably the best Group of 5 team in the country. But I mean, you look at some of the teams that are still ranked in here. SMU's 8-0 at 15, Cincinnati's 6-1 at 17, App State is still undefeated at 20, and then Boise State's 6-1 at 21. Memphis and San Diego State both cracked their way into the top 25 this week too at 24 and 25, both one-loss teams. So I'm not sure. A couple of those teams are in the same conference too, so they got to play each other. I don't know. I'm kind of excited about some of these Group of 5 games before the season ends.
Yeah, I'd probably still say Boise State slightly over SMU, and again, their one loss came without Hank Bachmeier. But I'm with Josh. I mean, that would be a great matchup, SMU-Boise State. I think it'd be really close, but Shane Buechele and the Mustangs are clearly proven that the Group of 5-wise, they're seriously a force to be reckoned with, and because Boise State does have that loss, they might find themselves in a New Year's Six at the end of the year if they keep playing like this.
What about a team like Cincinnati?
I mean, they're still in there. They're still in there. I mean,
they're ranked 17th in the country.
Yeah.
San Diego State does not play Boise this year.
Interesting.
and San Diego State's only got one loss. They've been playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they only have one loss
They
too,
jumped in
and
the
they've still
rankings
got
this week, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they've got Nevada, Fresno, Hawaii, and BYU. BYU at home to end of the year. They have a really good chance to only be a one-loss team too, but BYU and Fresno, I guess, will both be pretty tough games.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I wish we can get that, like an SMU Boise State game, just to prove, who does have the edge. But it's been a very great season so far from SMU. But the final one I want to talk about, guys. Now, if Blake was here, he'd be wanting to quickly go over the now 7th ranked Oregon Ducks. No! Oh, yeah. It's the instrumental version. Don't worry.
It off.
Don't worry. But
You just had me get ready to cut your mic so fast. So fast. You're done, Blake. Lane, this is your show now. But don't worry, you'll get fired on the tarmac on the way home.
Oh.
Hello. Oh, there we go. I'm back. So, yeah, guys, the Oregon Ducks, they win again to no surprise, and they are now the 7th ranked team in the country. Man, I sure wish Blake was here to talk about his Oregon Ducks. I really wish he was here. Because I feel like he'd say something along the lines of, wow, they're in this. I mean, that's probably all he'd say. But, hey,
Cool.
guys,
All right,
Oregon,
thanks.
they're ranked 7th right now. Are you guys more convinced
No.
that they have a very solid chance at making the college football playoff?
Like, not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. They are ranked 7th, and they have one loss.
Yeah, until they lose to SC this week.
I'll say they have.
I just. Do we really think that they are better than some of these teams, than the 6 teams that are ahead of them, let alone the 3 teams that are behind them? I'm not saying Oregon's a bad football team, but also jumping up that much. I know a couple teams lost, but Wazoo is now 4-4.
Yeah, and here's the other thing you got to consider, Blake. Look, I mean, I think the 4 teams in the top 4 right now are going to stay, personally, and I don't think Clemson loses. I think we've all talked about that. So I think the top 4 right now could be the 4 teams representing the college football playoff. Even if they don't, you've still got undefeated Penn State. You've still got one-loss Georgia, who if they get into the SEC title game and they play Bama close, they're going to look better than Oregon. And Oregon still has to play. I mean, I know Josh talked about SC. They're going to have to play Utah if they get to the Pac-12 title game. I still think Utah is personally the best team in the conference. So Oregon is by no means going to walk away with this Pac-12 title, and they're by no means going to coast into this playoff. They still have a lot of work to do, and they, like Oklahoma and like some other teams we've talked about this week, are going to need a lot of outside help. I will not just completely rule it out, but I think it's a long shot.
I do think C.J. Verdell is legit, though. Yeah. And the last few years, or last year, I guess, and then the first few weeks of this season, I thought that he was a good running back. I thought he was a reliable running back. I didn't think he was going to be one of the most elite running backs in the Pac-12 conference, and he absolutely is. Rushed for over 250 yards this past week with 3 touchdowns. And Brady, I don't think you started him.
I did start
Oh,
him.
you did?
I did.
Man, you still lost by like 100 points. That's rough.
I think.
Anyway,
You hate to see it.
yes.
I think.
But hey, plenty of games to go around, and I really think my Oregon Ducks can get the job done.
Oh
hey,
my God.
maybe my Michigan Wolverines can get the job done as
Didn't
well.
they just
and
beat
can move
your
up.
Washington State Cougars?
Josh, I had him on my
no,
bench.
they did not. They did not. But
I had him on my bench, Josh.
what was that?
Pac-Man, dog.
Well, I know that was Pac-Man, but anyway.
I had
So
C.J. Verdell on my
we
bench.
talked
and it
about
was pew, pew, pew,
we
pew.
talked
Wop,
about
wop.
all these games. going on. Now, it did kind of impact the top 4. Now, we don't have our first college football playoff rankings until next week. It just seems like it's so late. I mean, 10 weeks into the season, we're not getting our first college football playoff rankings. So I know a lot has changed, guys. I know a lot has changed. But again, I'm going to ask to go around, and you're going to give me your current top 4 teams in the country. If you guys want to have Oklahoma in your top 4 still, go right ahead and do it. If you guys want to have Clemson at 1 after, LSU and Ohio State have proven they're the best teams in the country, hey, go for it. So, guys, as of right now, as of October 29th, what day is today?
29th.
29th. As of October 29th, who are the 4 best teams in the country, according to you?
Starting at number 4, I've got 8-0 Clemson. At number 3, didn't think I'd be saying this, 8-0 Alabama. Number 2, I've got 8-0 Ohio State. And at number 1, I've got LSU at 8-0, and the guy who replaced me for half a season, the LSU Tigers and Coach O.
Hey, where's my USC polo?
Yeah, you did not want that by the end of the year.
No, I did not. Not good. Not good. Go Tigers.
My top 4 is the same as as Lane's, I should say. I really, really wanted to put Ohio State at 1, and I thought about it for a while, but just because of how convincing they've looked. But again, while I still think Ohio State is the most talented team, you can't move LSU down after having those 3 convincing rank wins. So for that reason, for now, I've got LSU at 1, then Ohio State at 2, Bama at 3, Clemson at 4.
Mine's simple. Don't matter who's 3 2 through 4. Number 1, LSU, go Tigers. Number 2, LSU, go Tigers.
LSU number 1. Kill Lyle's mic. What's her name's? LSU at number 1. I have Bama at number 2. I've got Ohio State at 3. I'm going to put Clemson at 4.
Yeah, with my top 4, I got a team that I don't think you guys mentioned. And my number 4, I'm going to go with Penn State. With my number 3, I'm going to go with Bama. With my number 2, I'm going to go with Ohio State. And number 1, I'm going to go with Coach O's LSU Tigers.
Yep. Sounds about right to me.
Hey, guys, thank you. We love you, man. Go Tigers.
So those are our top 4. Now, guys, looking down the list. Now, we're not going to go too in-depth over this. But looking down the list, how many teams do you think have a realistic chance of making the college football playoff? You don't have to list all of them, or if you want to list them, you can. But looking at this right now, you could look at the AP poll and just look at the teams that are ranked 1 through 15 or something like that. How many teams do you think have a legitimate chance to make the final top 4?
I'm going to say everybody in the top 10 still has a chance, as well as Baylor if they win out and can do so convincingly, because they're still undefeated. So everybody, all those 11 teams have a chance. Some chance is what I'm going to say.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance. There is a chance.
I'm gonna take the top 10 too. I'll agree with Lyle, but with that being said, I think that there are a few teams that are clearly not as good as the other ones. I don't think Utah is as good as a lot of the other teams in the top 10. I don't think Oregon is either, and I don't think Florida is. Other than that, from Oklahoma to Georgia, and then the 5 teams at the top who are all undefeated, those are the teams that I realistically think still have a chance to make the playoff.
I think the cutoff is, if you look at the rankings right now, I think the cutoff is 8. And it's that Georgia cutoff. I hate saying this, but there's a chance Oregon goes. They're not going to, but there's a chance. But I think those top 8 teams are the ones that are locked into it. I just think there's too much fluctuation going on from that 9 to bottom range, and the loss with Oklahoma really killed their chance.
See, I mean, I still look at this list, and I think Oklahoma, they have a chance at 10. They're going to have a lot of things go their way. Now, the updated college football rankings, they can come out, and they can put Oklahoma at 6 to start off. I mean, this AP poll, you can't really get too in-depth on it. They might have Baylor at 8. I think 1 through 10, they all have a chance. Obviously, Baylor still has a chance. I think Minnesota has a chance, but they're both going to have to go undefeated the rest of the way. That's what's going to have to happen for them. But, again, a lot of teams that have a chance to make the college football playoff, where it seems like every year there's 4 teams, maybe 5, that are you pretty much guaranteed. But looking at this right now, so much still can happen, and I wouldn't be shocked 1 through 14 with Michigan there at 14 if they can crack the playoff. SMU potentially getting UCF'd in this situation if they go undefeated.
UCF'd as a verb.
UCF'd. A strong emphasis on the F.
UCF'd, Kiffined. I mean, it's all. What's the difference?
That's true.
What's the difference? Tarmacked?
Yeah, Tarmac is the one that I like.
Now, playoff question for you guys. Do you remember who was in the very first college football playoff in 2014?
Oregon, Florida State, Ohio State, and Bama. Zeke ran all over Alabama and took him down.
Well, I guess we don't have to answer that question.
There you go.
I
All
guess
right.
not.
Yeah, cool. Just thought I'd bring that up. See if it was a fun little. Who was in the second?
Who was in the second?
Was that Michigan
So it was
State?
Yeah, that was the Michigan State when
it
they
was
got
Michigan
blown
State,
out.
Alabama, Clemson. No, was Clemson in it that year?
Was this 2014 or
Has to be
is this
2015.
2015? Yeah, who knows?
I think so.
Yeah, Michigan State, Bama. Was Oklahoma in it that year? I don't think they were. No, it was Clemson, right? Clemson was in it. I don't know.
Brady, why don't you tell us?
I'm looking at it right now. It was. Oh no, hang on. That was 2015 was the first one, so 16 would have been the second, which it is. Let's see. Hang on. Clemson, Oklahoma, Bama, Michigan State.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to move into
45-40.
the Heisman rankings. As a Heisman finalist, or, well, I guess top 5 finisher myself last year during my time at Washington State University, let's move into our top 5 for the Heisman rankings. We're going to go around. We're going to each give our 5, then our 4, then our 3, then our 2, then our 1. And Coach Kiffin, who do you got at 5?
We're starting over here. Number 5, I have still Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. So, yeah. Actually, wait, I just, hold on. At number 5, like I said, I'm going to stick with Jerry Jeudy, actually. I'm going to stick with Jerry Jeudy at 5 because why Brady and Lyle?
Because why not, Josh?
And because 2 is out, and I think in the meantime, we'll go with an Alabama placeholder.
Place kicker?
Holder.
Oh, I don't know their holder's name.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, Lyle.
He's read one name, Josh.
We're all going 5.
Well, I mean, look, I really only take 3 guys seriously. Do you really want me to still have a top
No, you
5?
can go your top 3 then and completely
then
ruin
what?
everything we worked this
Well,
for.
okay.
That's the whole reason I said Jerry Jeudy was because I didn't think this mattered. No offense, Jerry.
Blake,
Roll
the
Tide.
notes just say Heisman rankings.
If you want, okay,
Oh,
if you want me to have a number 5, it's Chase Young currently.
All right.
Ooh, I see. I actually had him higher on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, I have Jonathan Taylor at 5.
All right. Well, I guess we can go at this quickly. At number 5, I got Tua Tagovailoa.
Josh,
Kiffin?
4.
At number 4, I'm sticking with Jonathan Taylor.
I have 2 at 4.
I have Chase Young at 4.
And I got Chase Young at 4 as well. You can make the case he could be number 2 or number 3 at this point. I mean, he's been the best defensive player in the country. And a lot of people think the best player in the country. But at number 3, Coach Kiffin.
At number 3, Justin Fields.
I also have Justin Fields.
I also have Justin Fields.
Now, there's going to be a name that
my
I
God.
don't have
Just
in
say
my top 5, boys.
No.
No, I'm kidding. I got Jalen Hurts at number 3.
Okay.
I just moved him
Bo
from
next.
2 to 3.
Gentlemen, I have a new number 2.
Oh.
Which means that I have a new number 1. And at number 2, I have Jalen Hurts.
I still have Joe Burrow at 2.
Jalen Hurts at 2.
I got Justin Fields at my number 2.
And at number 1, my new number 1 is Joe Burrow.
I still have Hurts at 1. Like I said, I mean, I'm not going to put the loss on him for putting up 500 total yards and 4 touchdowns, also no picks. So for his performance, I don't think he deserves to move down, although Burrow's winning a lot of convincing games, so I think it's all pretty close.
I got my quarterback, Joe Burrow, number 1. He's going to win Heisman.
And I got Joe Burrow at number 1
Go Tigers.
as well. But I mean, again, as Lyle said, 1 through 3, I mean, you can give the edge to Burrow, maybe the edge to Fields or Hurts in a certain situation, but I think it's going to come down to those 3 guys when it's all said and done. Hurts, I mean, he did have a good game. His numbers have been so fantastic this season, and if Oklahoma wins out, he could still find himself there. But it's going to be an exciting finish, especially for Joe Burrow, who I believe started the season, it was like at plus 2,000 to win the Heisman. Now he's the current favorite. So very exciting times for quarterback Joe Burrow. But guys, now I didn't put this in the original notes, but it kind of has been transpiring the rest of the day. And this is something that I believe we absolutely need to talk about, and that's the fact that it looks like, it's not confirmed, but it looks like the NCAA football video game might be returning after a long hiatus. I believe the last game was NCAA 14. I think Josh still plays the game frequently with an amazing head coach for his roster that he's got. A very good-looking head coach. But guys, I guess, there's still a lot of things that need to be discussed, but let's say the video game comes back for next season. What are some things you want to see most? What things would you be excited most about for this new NCAA 20 video game?
Well, first, if we can just clear this up right away, it's not that players are going to be paid, which is why a video game is possible in the first place. It's simply allowing them to make money and profit from their own image, which is their right.
Their image, their name, and their likeness.
Exactly.
The likeness would be the video game aspect of it. If they decide to go with names,
Yes.
it could be actually that, and the image is obviously image.
Correct. And I like this better than simply just paying players,
Agreed.
too.
Because it allows, say this does come into play, where the NCAA video game does come back, and the players, sort of like in Madden, or in the Madden video game franchise, the player will sign off and they get a commission, or not a commission check, but they get a check every however often. But with this, the NCAA, there's a whole other sanctioning body in the schools, so this brings more money, and this brings money for the players. Also, this is a positive for the schools as well. They are going to make money hand over fist in this as well.
Yeah, and they're not getting paid. I mean, that's another conversation in itself. But at least they get to basically now do what is their God-given right, and which is what I saw on Twitter today, and make money off their own name. Like, it's about time, and that's basically what I saw all over social media today too. It's like, thank goodness. I mean, these players deserve that at the very least.
And this is one of the big things too, is that it doesn't cost the NCAA and it doesn't cost the schools a dime. Because the players will be doing it on their own, making the money on their own. All right, maybe schools have to pay for some appearance, whatever it may be. But it's not going to cost the NCAA, and the money's not going to be coming from the NCAA. It's going to be coming from a third party, another company, an individual company like that.
Exactly, and it's just, I mean, it's their right. We wouldn't like it if we were on the Harris Highlights show and none of us were making money from ads, but Blake...
Oh.
Anyway, since I'm the one who plays this game probably most, since I have it, I think the thing that I want to see most out of this game is, honestly, they don't even need to make a new one. They just need to update the old one, to be honest. I saw a tweet today that suggested, do we really want to trust EA or 2K or anybody to make a new game? Or do we want EA Sports to just update their old game with uniforms and rankings and everything like that, and maybe even make it like backwards compatible? Because I have it for the 360. It's the only thing I use my Xbox 360 for.
Same.
I think a new game, which I'm going to propose some questions, that a new game would be fantastic. If they make a new game, who would you guys like to be the commentators for it?
Gus Johnson and Kirk Herbstreit. I know they're not together, but Gus Johnson and Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah,
well, Brad
agree.
Nessler and Herbie weren't together when they made the games. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Gus Johnson would be fun just because he's so loud.
Gus Johnson also used to do the NCAA basketball video game, which is a good game also.
I think realistically, if we got it again, I feel like it would either be Brad Nessler and Herbie, or it would be
Fowler.
Maybe even Reese Davis.
Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman.
Nessler was on CBS by the time those games came out, right?
No, he was on ESPN still.
Was he still on ESPN?
Because
Okay.
they had the whole ESPN.
He replaced
graphic.
Vern.
Yeah,
he
but
replaced Vern.
they weren't together though, were they?
I don't think so. They
I
might
don't think
have
they
been.
were. I thought it was
knows?
Musburger and Herbie.
I think it was. So they weren't together. So hey, maybe we can get that.
Yeah.
Also, one final question for you guys in regards to this topic: who should be the cover athlete?
Are you going an athlete?
Hey guys, thank you. We love you, man. Go Tigers.
It's hard.
I saw a mock-up that had Coach O on.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard not to say Tua, isn't it? Just because he's been such a the
Trevor
guy over the
Lawrence.
last few years.
Or would you do sort of the old NCAA model where it's a player from the year before?
Well, so that
just
you don't
sort
have to pay him. That's what it is.
It could also be like, all right, the previous year's Heisman winner every year on the cover.
that way
Tua
you
it
can
is
pay him.
for this upcoming year.
What would be cool? Here's a thought. This is also a lot more money from a marketing standpoint, but in different places where they sell the game. So, for example, you're selling it in Arizona, and if you're selling it in Phoenix, you have two different covers, one of Wilbur the Wildcat and another one of Sparky. Or if you're selling it in Alabama,
what about like head-to-heads, like mascot head-to-heads?
That's cool too. But it would depend on where you're selling. I mean, I know that I don't remember what other game. Well, I mean, they do it for FIFA, but it's by country. So for a while on FIFA, there was a deal that that Messi had to be on the cover for a while. So in the United States, one year it was Messi and Dempsey, and another year it was Messi and Alex Morgan, where in England it was like Messi and Eden Hazard or something like that. I don't know.
Getting tired over there, Gardner?
Yeah, the shades are going back on, so I can take a little snooze. But hopefully we can get NCAA because that'd be a very fun thing to have back, an updated version of it.
EA
so
Sports?
It's in the game.
Yeah.
All right, now we do have about one Q&A question that I'll get to, and then we can go to the pick'ems to wrap this show up. So this Q&A question comes from Connor Turner, 29. He wants to know, if you could watch two teams from any era face off, what teams would you want to play, and who would come out victorious?
2004 USC and 2002 Miami. Or 2001, 2002 Miami. Those are the two teams I'd want to see. Who would come out on top? SC.
I think an old, like the first, I don't know exact year, the first, like, true dynasty Alabama team versus last year's Alabama team.
Ooh.
And just have it go, like, head to head. Or UCF. What about, come on, UCF, guys?
No.
I'll say 01-02 Miami against last year's national champion Clemson team.
That'd be cool.
Hey, some good ACC play.
What's that like? Who knows?
Man, that's tough.
What?
I'll say Clemson would come out on top, but barely.
Blake's looking at me funny, man. I
Well,
don't
no,
like it.
It was the noise from the cable or your headphone set.
What about
How do you
when
hear that?
What are you talking about?
I guess I'm the only one that's hearing things.
You're on some Gardner stuff, dog, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Win or lose, I won't say the second part. As they say at Washington State. Cougs, yeah.
Oh. What about like a Dwayne The Rock? What about like an all-celebrity team? Like former celebrities that played in college football, like George H.W. Bush.
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. The Rock at Miami. Those would be some great games.
Yeah,
Like-
I'm going to combine some of your guys' answers because this is what I was thinking of the entire time. I was thinking of taking last year's Clemson team and put them against that SC team from 04. And I think SC would come out on top had they not, gotten the shaft on a certain Vince Young knee being down call.
Agreed.
This
Just don't know
outcome
if you
might-
can say that on radio, but agreed.
Yeah, can you say that? I just asked Lyle off microphone. Can you say that on radio?
Shaft? The Samuel L. Jackson movie that came out this past year?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Well, that does transition us into our pick'ems. All right, Coach O, see if you can get that music going.
Hey guys, thank you. We love you, man. Go Tigers.
Dun, 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 dun.
There it is. All right, moving on to our College Pick'ems Fantasy League, which you guys still have a chance to join. Never too late, never too late. In first place, in sole possession of first place with 66 points, is T-Wit for Gator. T-Wit for Gator with 66 points. And second place, not far behind, we got 5 people tied with 1 point behind. So this is going to come down to the wire, guys. But now it's time to move into our Pick'em rankings. Now, I had Blake leave me these Pick'em rankings before they left. So without further ado, these are the updated rankings for those four guys. In fourth and last place with 63 points is Lyle. In third place with 66 points is Blake. In second place with a very, 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 very nice 69 points
Oh my goodness.
is Josh. And running away, and I mean running away, is Brady with 77
Hey guys, thank you.
Wow, that's big time.
This
Two
is
claps
a
and Ric
lead.
Flair.
He's got a 14-point lead over Lyle, and he has an 8-point lead over Josh, who's in second place.
It's pretty unreal how this is going to work out. That it looks like one of us is going to win every single year.
Yeah,
Not going for with me.
That's true.
well, time for these Pick'em games, guys. Let's get things started with West Virginia at number 12, Baylor.
Man, here's another fun one. I don't know what to think of Baylor, of West Virginia. I'm starting to buy in a little bit on Baylor. So I'm going to take the Bears. I also picked up Brewer this week in college fantasy.
Bears.
Duh, Baylor Bears.
I also have Baylor Bears. I'm like Lane Kiffin over there. They're starting to sell me a little bit.
This game, Thursday Night Football, Baylor Bears.
I'm going to go with the Baylor Bears in this one. Buffalo at Eastern Michigan.
This one's a tough one for me, so I brought my play sheet in front of my face like I always do. It's interesting. It's really interesting. Buffalo also has a professional football team, and maybe the Bills will lend their defense to the Buffalo Bulls to beat Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan is coming in -2. The over-under's 50. I'm saying each team puts up 25 points each. It's just, I don't... Buffalo. I'll take Buffalo.
I'm going Eastern Michigan.
Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, I went with Eastern Michigan last week. They didn't get the job done, but I think they can get the job done this week. Now, I did mention this before we started the pick'ems, but there was no way, guys, we can do these pick'ems without quickly going over what happened with our pick'ems last week. Now, not every week we can't all have the best week. Sometimes we get them a lot of them right. Sometimes we get a lot of them wrong. It wasn't a great week for us last week, especially for the first few games, but one of our fans took the time out of their day to send us this beautiful comment. This comes from Sean Brannigan. You guys have the worst bleepin' college predictions I have ever seen. You went a combined total of 26 and 34, and 12 of those you got correct were unanimous votes in favor of extremely heavy favorites. Now, not only did he spend his own time going through each of our pick'ems to add up our total scores, he then proceeded to jot down some of his favorite quotes. And I think I'm going to share some of those quotes with you guys.
Okay.
ASU is only a 4-point favorite. That is absurd. My uncle is going to Vegas this weekend, and he said that is going to be his number one pick. We're going to see ASU beat UCLA by at least 17. UCLA then proceeds to beat ASU 42-32.
I don't even want to
He
talk
doesn't
about
even
that game.
he doesn't stop there. He goes to another game. Irish in a low-scoring contest. I'm going to go Irish by 9, and there are no more than 30 combined points. Do the math. Notre Dame's going to win this game, but I have to ride this one out. I'm going down with the ship. I'm taking the Wolverines. Michigan then proceeds to beat Notre Dame 45-14. Well, guys, shame on us for picking a 5-2 ASU team to beat a 2-5 UCLA team. Shame on us. And also shame on us for talking about how that was going to be a low-scoring Michigan-Notre Dame game in what was one of the lowest over-unders of the day in a game that featured one of the heaviest rainstorms all season. So shame on us for not being better. How awful of us.
We typically have our interns do the calculations and the math and stuff behind the scenes, so we are offering internships. That person should apply. I don't know if we have any openings, but I know that one intern is not here today, so we do have an opening right now, but we didn't get any applications. So
Yeah, that one intern's currently hiking up a mountain in a suit.
that sounds awful.
Yeah, it sounds miserable.
Actually, it's kind of cold outside,
bit.
so
Yeah, at least the weather's cooled down a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we really appreciate you for I don't even remember your name.
good. Don't say that.
For taking all that time to send us that comment. We'll try to be better this week. I hope you're watching. If that's the case, then you can add up all of our picks from this week and let us know how we did.
Yeah, save Blake
We're
some
probably
time.
going to do very poorly.
All right, Coach O, load up that music once again, and we'll get back to these pick'ems right now. And we're going to go back to Boston College at Syracuse.
Two teams that are so underwhelming, but I'm going to take Syracuse in the Dome this week. They're 0-4 in conference play. In the ACC, Syracuse, who was ranked in the preseason poll, is 0-4. Until this week, I think they get one.
I'm taking A.J. Dillon in Boston College.
This one goes for my friend that got mad at us for making picks. Wonder what that's like, getting yelled at for doing something wrong on this show. Blake. They're going to end in a tie. Syracuse.
I picked him up from fantasy. Yeah, I like a Tommy DeVito.
Why would you pick him up?
I like a Tommy DeVito. He's going to give me a lot of points. Yeah, he's going to get a lot of touchdowns. And a Tommy DeVito and the Syracuse Orange. Virginia
Do that voice
Tech,
the rest of the show, please.
Virginia Tech at number 16, Notre Dame. Now, rumor has it, our very own Lyle is going to be attending this game with his best buddy, Jordan.
With his dog, Big J.
Yes.
Well, two big J's, to be honest.
Who's the other Big J? Oh, Johnny.
Oh, that's Seward. Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take Notre Dame in a bounce back at home. Virginia Tech's all right. I think with elite starting quarterback Ian Book, I think the Irish get the win at home.
They're a 2-loss team, but I think they're a little bit better than their 16th ranking. A little bit, Keon. But, yeah, I've got Notre Dame on this one. I'm going to say Notre Dame by 10.
I got a new microphone. I'm going Notre Dame in this one by 35,000 points. Quote that next week, why don't you?
Yeah, quote that one. Notre Dame. Number 22, Kansas State.
How about it?
At Kansas, which, by the way, guys, this Kansas finish was unlike any finish to a game I've ever seen before. Whoever that guy on Texas Tech was that made that blunder, he probably didn't make it this weekend at Texas Tech. But, hey, way to go, Kansas. You guys have 3 wins now in the season. Is it going to be 4?
No, I'm taking Kansas State on the road. The Fighting Bill Snyders.
Yeah, I got the Wildcats.
You know, with trophy in hand, I say Kansas State. So thank you. Thank you, avid listener, for tallying up our damn
I really
points.
want to pick Kansas in this game. I really do. You know what? I don't think anyone's ever picked Kansas at any pick'em that we've ever done. I don't know if Kansas has ever been in a pick'em that we've ever done.
March Madness.
So I'll be the first, and I'm going to go with the Jayhawks. Miami at Florida State.
Dude.
Over-under on fights.
Miami is just... I have...
3.5.
Dude, I just have no idea what to make of this team.
I don't think they do either.
I don't think anybody does. I've got... You know what? I'm taking Florida State at home, and I think the spread of 3.5 points is spot on. I'm taking Florida State at Doak by a field goal.
Yeah, things are already getting chippy. DJ Matthews, one of Florida State's receivers, was asked today what's challenging about facing Miami's defense. He said, nothing. So
Great.
I've got Florida State.
Oh, I thought you were going to add some more to that. I got Florida State at home because why Lyle? It early won this week. Because why Lyle? Because why not?
I'm going to go with the Seminoles on this one. TCU at Oklahoma State.
See, this is so interesting because I just don't know what to think about TCU either, especially after last week. But they were at home last week, and now they're going on the road to Stillwater. I'm going to take Oklahoma State.
Well, if this was a mascot competition, I'd be taking Oklahoma State.
Because the other one is a frog.
Not a poison frog. A horned frog.
I'm going TCU.
I'm going Oklahoma State at home. Go against the grain. Just to extend my
I want to go
lead.
with the Horned Frogs in this one because I think a Horned Frog would take Pistol Pete down easily.
Anything will take Pistol Pete down.
That's true.
He's weak.
That's true. I mean, do we have any proof on how good his aim is? Just because he has a pistol doesn't mean he has great aim. Number 9, Utah at Washington.
I think this is a low-scoring game. I think it's a defensive game. I think if Utah had an elite offense, they would be a legitimate top 10 team in the country. At 9 right now, I don't know what to think of them. But if I do the quick math in my head, Lane Kiffin, I believe, had a perfect record against Utah. I don't think he did, but I'm going to take Utah by a field goal.
I think this game stays close, especially Utah going on the road, but I've got the Utes.
I still don't know what the hell a Ute is, but I'm going to pick them. Utah.
I'm going to take the Huskies at home in this one. Florida Atlantic at Western Kentucky. Coach Kiffin, your Owls are traveling Where is Western Kentucky?
Western Kentucky is in Kentucky toward the west.
Okay.
This is an easy one for my guys, and I am going to give this pick'em just like he did on that season ticket holder advertisement last year. Hey, Owls fans. I'm head coach Lane Kiffin. You should come out and support us in Western Kentucky this weekend as we take on the Hilltoppers. Please come out and support our team, and I'll put my play sheet in front of my face at least twice. Go Owls. I am taking the FAU Owls.
That was pretty good. I'm taking FAU too.
Who?
FAU, Florida
Foul.
Atlantic.
Who?
You got me once. You
got
got me
him
twice.
Wait, what?
Who? Get it? Because they're the Owls.
Oh.
That's her father. Western Kentucky at home. Sorry, coach.
I'm going to go with the Owls. Got to do this for Coach Kiffin. Virginia at North Carolina.
You sound like Coach O.
Virginia.
I'm taking Virginia too.
North Carolina, Virginia. I'm going Virginia on the road. Virginia. Blake, now you speak.
All right, I'm going to go with Virginia. Is everything all right, Coach Kiffin?
Yeah.
All righty. Number 7, Oregon at USC.
See, this is...
Coach Kiffin, please report to the front of the airplane.
Oh no, I don't have time for this, guys. I can't get tarmacked twice. I'm gonna take Oregon by 3 points. I gotta get out of here. I really don't want to get fired. We're gonna write a press release. I'm resigning of my own accord. I'm taking Oregon by 3 at the Coliseum. I think SC finishes the year ranked, but I gotta get out of here, guys. I cannot get tarmacked again.
Wow. This game stays close, but I'm going to take Oregon.
I have Oregon.
Come on.
Oregon on the road. I think they're
Scoducks.
gonna. Okay.
Ooh, a nice old-fashioned Mormon battle BYU at Utah State.
Hold on, I'm putting my jacket on. I like
Utah State in this game because I think that they can be a pretty elite group of 5 team too. I also don't know what to think of BYU, and this game is at Utah State. So I am going with the Ags. Go Ags.
There it is.
I got BYU on the road.
I got Utah State because they're actually a state, so Utah State at home. Because it's in Utah, and it's at home.
I'm going to go with the BYU Stormin' Mormons. Number 15, SMU at number 24, Memphis. This is our game day this week. Shout out to Memphis for getting game day.
This is
Shout
our
out to
game
Dakota
day.
for getting it last week, right?
Guys, this is actually going to be a really good game, I think. I'm really excited about it. Can't you tell? I just realized we're on radio too, so whatever, I smiled. I'm taking Memphis at home. I think that Shane Buechele is a good day. I think SMU's undefeated season comes to an end in Memphis, Tennessee. Wait, Tennessee? Oh, wait, no, they hate me. I should get out of here, guys. I should get out of here.
I think this game's going to be high scoring, but I've got Shane Buechele and the SMU Mustangs.
I got Memphis at home. Memphis at home.
I'm going to go with SMU. I think that they're going to be able to keep riding this one out. Now, unfortunately, Tennessee does not. Oh, no, wait, they do. They do. We're adding it. UAB at Tennessee.
Wow. I coached in one state for 25 minutes. I coached in the other one as an offensive coordinator for Alabama for more than 25 minutes. Are we doing this as a pick'em?
Yes, we are.
Look, Tennessee fans, I know you guys hate me. I'm going to take you guys over UAB in a close one, to be honest, which is pretty sad.
Tennessee.
Josh Schaefer, you'll always be the guy that sits across from me. I'm going Rocky Top, Tennessee.
I'm going to go with Tennessee as well in this game, which brings us to probably the best game of the week. The number 8 Georgia Bulldogs at the number 6 Florida Gators.
Two teams that Tennessee fans hate, and Tennessee fans hate Lane Kiffin. I feel right at home. I'm taking Georgia on the road.
Me too. I think Georgia's the better team. Low scoring, but I got the Bulldogs.
Bulldogs on the road.
I'm going to go with the Bulldogs in this one. It brings us to our final game, the worst of the worst, the absolute worst game from this upcoming week, and that is the Akron Zips at the Bowling Green. Are they the
Falcons?
The Falcons, yeah, the Falcons.
Archon versus Bowling, Brown and Orange. I'm taking the Falcons at home.
I'm going Akron. Zips.
Sorry, Jackie. I'm going with Bowling Green.
A few weeks ago, Lyle said Bowling Green, and I quote, is one of the worst teams he's ever seen play when they went up against Notre Dame. But I believe Akron still is winless.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that true? Well, they're going to stay winless, and Bowling Green is going to get the win in that one. But that does wrap up this fun edition of the Harris Highlight
Dun,
Show.
dun,
Guys,
dun, dun, dun.
I'm really glad that the guys let us take over the show for this week. I hope we did a great job. Yeah, how do we got that right there? How's it going? It's been a very fun week, guys. A very fun week. The guys will be back next week at a brand new time, guys, because there is daylight savings this upcoming week. So the show next week is now going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays
You're
because
welcome,
we
East
don't
Coast
change
complainers.
the clocks. So 9 p.m. Eastern for all you guys to know. The college football playoff rankings are out next week, guys. So we're going to be going over the college football playoff rankings. It's going to be a great show. For Gardner Minshew, or right, no, I don't want to say that. From head coach Lane Kiffin, Manti Te'o's deceased girlfriend,
Oof.
LSU head football coach
man.
Ed
Love you, man. Go
Orgeron.
Tigers.
This has been Jackson Jaguars starting quarterback, Jacksonville Jaguars starting quarterback, Gardner Minshew from the Bill Austin Radio Studio, and the guys will see you next week.
Roll Tide.
Oh, there it goes.